Advice.
I was also initiated also.
Oh, yeah?
But when I got here, I was kind of like,
you know, you were initiated into something. So all this.
What kind of initiation you talking about?
It's not actually, it's not into a religion per se, but the initiation of our ancestors.
Okay.
Where it's a spiritual initiation, but it's not saying Santeria or Phobia or something like
Or something satanic, what you saying? Satanic,
worship your ancestors and get to talk to them.
I think 31, sorry.
So it's a rite of, I should say a rite of passage. Rite of passage. You have to rite of passage. You know, back in the day, you know, my grandparents were all your whole entire family should bear in your backyard.
Oh, wow.
That's very
I was like, I don't know.
and you went to visit them every day, and you ordered their graves. You know, that was one of my jobs. You ordered their graves, you ordered flowers, you didn't touch flowers. You planted flowers out the sidewalk.
Where it says consider the days of old, verse 17, you have it? Maybe. Let's just go to Leviticus 26 and 46. Because I was trying to look for a scripture where it says in Deuteronomy that we have to consider the days of old in order for that to be done. That's in Job? No, it's in Deuteronomy. Yeah. If you can find it in Job for me real quick. I know it's in Deuteronomy.
Job chapter 8 verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are as a shadow.
As what?
Are a shadow.
Now this is very profound for us. Because if our days are a shadow, and we're not considering the days of old of our ancestors, and history is repeating itself, and we're falling for the same transgressions, then we're just letting our life as a shadow pass away right into judgment.
If you can't answer me, I gotta go.
32 and 7s? Get that too. So yeah, we really have to wake up and we have to confess our ancestors' sins. So in order for us to confess our ancestors' sins, we got to look into history. We got to consider history, and that's what this precept is really basically talking about.
How do you feel about Obama?
Oh yeah, he's a part of the Antichrist structure. He's a part of the Antichrist structure, and he's tied right into Daniel 11 where it says, he shall not regard the God of his fathers. Because he's an Israelite. He is an Israelite. So he's not regarding the God of his fathers if he's passing same-sex marriages. Yeah, because that spirit comes into you.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 7. Remember the days of old.
Remember what?
The days of old.
This is for us. This is for the children of Israel now. Like if you're black or Hispanic, now we just gotta look into history. We gotta look into how we've been mistaught. Like forget the foreign nations, forget the heathens, forget them, because we're taught their history. But we haven't been taught ours correctly. We've perpetuated the heathens' history and tradition. That's why Jeremiah says, learn not their ways. In order for us to know who we are, we have to do this. Read.
Consider the years of many generations.
Of what?
Of many generations.
So we have to go past slavery, past the oppression, past the conquistadors, past the Inquisition period. That's the only way we could get to that point. It's right here. Read.
Ask thy father, and he will shew thee.
Now, this is the relationship disconnect of this generation. Sons can't sit down with fathers on the same level anymore. That's Satan's device. He did that. Read.
Thine elders, and they will tell thee.
Ask what?
And they will tell thee.
So you have elders. We, as a nation, as a people, we had our own culture. So we wasn't dealing with outside people. We had our fathers, we had our elders. We didn't get along with our fathers at one time, we'll go to our grandfather. And we'll sit down and we'll get edification. And that knowledge will be passed down through the spirit. We don't have that connection anymore. They are utensils being used by the adversary to destroy that. Just like it says in Lamentation. It says that we have swallowed her up. We swallowed these people up. We have set out what we accomplished. We set it out. We have done it. Read.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
According to what?
According to the number of the children of Israel.
Keep going.
For the Lord's portion is his people.
Is what?
The Lord's portion is his people.
Not all, everyone in the earth is God's people. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Read.
Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Jacob is what?
Is the lot of his inheritance.
That's why when we come out here and we talk about Christmas and certain things, it's hard for these foreign nations to stomach it. And that's why I said, that's why we came out and said, look, if you're a traditionalist, just be a traditionalist. Just keep Christ out of it. Maybe your judgment will be a little lighter, but it's still going to be judgment. But just keep Christ out of it. Because you can't serve the Lord's cup. Yeah, you can't sit at the Lord's table and the table of devils. You can't drink of the Lord's cup and the table of devils. You just can't do both. Where you at? Stop right there. Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
He chose a certain people to himself. Now this, the reason why, and this, you know, the wisdom of this, like a lot of us are just stuck in these 66 books. But the word came to Adam and said that I will die for your righteous seed. He didn't say all seed, but you have, that's a little more meat. This is just milk. But to understand this, people would think this is bias or God is biased. It's just that it was already written that it would be the way it is. Look at the rudiments of this word. What is it after? It's after tradition. It's not after the Father. Satan has well been working in this earth for all the generations that existed. You think he's not going to institute traditions? There's a cliche phrase that says the greatest trick that Satan did was to prove that he didn't exist. So what does he do? He comes down your chimney dressed in red. Santa, Satan. Read.
Above all the people that are upon the face of the earth.
Above what?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were no more in number than any people. For you were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers.
So who?
Which he had sworn unto your fathers.
Now he's not the author of confusion. And he's not going to break his oath like man would break their oaths. So this is very important to us. All the suffering that we've been through, our parents been through, previous generations been through. We're going to stop here because we could get an LCD TV. We could get a Mercedes. We could get these things. That shall, if a calamity occur, like it did in Japan, we'll get washed up in the storm. We're used to these things. It makes no sense, but Satan, he's working devices in the land.
Which he has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen.
A what?
And redeemed you out of the house of bondmen.
Now, I don't look at the dollar as a dollar anymore. I look at it, I pulled the dollar out of my pocket not too long ago, and I'm looking at a satanic symbolism. It's satanic symbolism now to me. Like when I pull it out, I just look at my captivity. That's it. It opens a portal to Satanism.
But you know, by them trying to get rid of it, because paper money always exists on the higher level. Really rich people don't deal with paper.
Right.
They deal with wire
Right.
with currency.
Right.
So they don't even, you might say there's $1 million, they move $20 million back and forth all day, but it doesn't even exist on paper. That's how they do it. So we're so messed up because we have to have actual paper.
Because Israel seeketh the sign. We seek after things from the eyes, the lust of the eyes.
Right, but even on, so they put all their stamps on everything on because I did deconstruct the dollar bill. I did deconstruct it years ago when I was a freshman.
Oh, wow.
And I deconstructed it. It has over 1,000 different symbols.
1,000, over 1,000.
Yes.
Probably more than we can see with the naked eye.
But not applying, not experimenting.
Yeah.
But they're my son. They're all their sons are symbology that we don't understand.
Right, absolutely.
Even the direction that they put now, everything's
Absolutely.
the vibrations while it's there.
Absolutely. No, I'll break down just some things that you could go look back. If you look back at a dollar, you know, you have this year was supposed to be the 13th zodiac sign, and this is the year of I believe the snake and the Chinese. The snake and the dragon. It's synonymous. You know, the serpent. You have 13 feathers on in the hand of the eagle. 13 stripes on this pendant that is there. You have 13 arrows. You have 13 stars that make up the star of Moloch here. You have 13 steps on this pyramid here. You know, so you have, and then you have also 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati, of these families. So it all goes back to something that they've been keeping tradition. And you mentioned something that was very profound, that symbolism in two things. One, it resonates a high frequency. It resonates a spiritual frequency because of the symbolisms in it. But they're going to go to another level of frequency, a paperless frequency, in which no man could buy or sell without that frequency. And when you reach, because this is already a satanic frequency, but once that frequency is embedded in you, that's it, it's eternal damnation. You drinking the Lord's cup of indignation, as I put. And that's something I want to show real quick while we on the topic. You have the mark of the beast, son? It's right behind you. Radio frequency device. Now it's no more. You could separate yourself from this frequency through your higher power and disconnect from it. They're going to embed it in you now. And this is the mark of the beast, radio frequency device technology. So this is where we go with all this. The rudiments of this world that Satan is using, is all to get his final clamp down on humanity with this. This is his agenda. Absolutely. Oh.
Everyone's walking around, like even the kids these days, they're walking around like zombies.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them, you got the guys wearing their pants all the way down here, with their underwear out, but you can't reason with them that there's something wrong with that.
Hosea 4:6.
That means you're locked down. You know, I mean,
absolutely.
but it's, I mean, even, I mean, Right, but it wasn't.
And hold that.
You know.
And let me get Isaiah 5.
Right.
It wasn't compromising. You didn't compromise your body with your style. Yeah.
There's and a friend of mine told me, you know, that's a lost generation. Their generation is just lost, and you gotta just leave them alone and wait for the new generation to come up because they're done.
Each generation get more lost.
Huh?
Each generation gets more
I don't
lost.
think so, though. I think that was the cracked out generation. Now this generation is
That's my generation. This generation is worse.
You don't know that scripture with children is their oppression? You said you got Isaiah 2, right? Alright, you gotta jump around. Check this out, sister. This is considering our people and this younger generation that's running around. Hosea 4:6.
Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
For what?
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Okay.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge,
Since we reject knowledge, read.
I will also reject thee.
Now he's rejected his people, read.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
So what do they become? Rappers, ball players, murderers, stealers, robbers, drug dealers. Read.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God.
They forget the laws, they're gonna break every one of them. Right? Let me get Isaiah.
Isaiah chapter 5 verse 13. Therefore my people are gone to captivity.
They're going into what?
Therefore my people are gone to captivity.
They're filling up the penitentiaries.
That itself is another capitalist system.
Exactly. It's also a part of the monetary system. It all ties into each other.
Industrial prison complex.
Yeah.
Into the whole capitalism thing.
Jim Crow, you know, that's the agenda.
But it's still it's also a form of
Absolutely. I believe once you become incarcerated, you go to I believe it's 2/5 of a citizen or something to that effect. That and you get way below minimum wage. So that's why they want us in there.
I read a story maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm from Brooklyn, and they were saying that Brooklyn is probably one of the best places because they had outlined the
I just read the story of Jonah like 2 weeks ago. You know how that went.
This entire map of where everybody lives based on census. It's in jail. And just block that. How many of those people were in jail?
Wow.
And so they have
I know.
They said
He was ears on the man.
over $100 million because
Wow. So now I'm gonna tell you how there's two sides of that.
I'm sorry. No. They were saying based on the amount of people that were in jail on that block, it was probably $90 million.
Sister said, based on the amount of people that are in jail, that block is worth how much?
$90 million.
$90 million.
That was some secret farm that I had lifted off at work.
Wow.
That for Homeland Security and I was working at the time at a nuclear.
Yeah.
And they had all these blocks. Had the most people in jail. They're like,
And those are the most condensed regions where the children of Israel are at.
but however, the plan was, once you get them in jail, is to recover the property and try to get the housing gentrified. Once you get them out and in jail, you get rid of people. That's what they're doing now.
Right. Gentrification.
Yep. East Williamsburg.
So,
Yep.
sister, when you say, what was the correlation with the $90 million? What is that?
From the census.
I was saying, based on the census and some sort of thing that the cops had and Homeland Security had, they knew the addresses of all the brothers and sisters who were in jail. Based thought of that. When you go to jail, you're worth X amount of dollars.
Okay, I see.
So
Okay,
they were saying that
$90 million
this
worth.
particular block is $90 million.
Because each prison is like $250,000 or something worth. They got monopoly boards and
You need to keep in contact with us, because that's a lot of information.
I thought they would kill me. I was taking all types of
Absolutely. That's that Confederacy against us, And then they got us. That happened in Bushwick. I was out there at one point. Now, if you go like Wilson and Knickerbocker, they straight turning that thing around over there.
That's so outrageous. They're charging so much money, and these people are paying $3,000. But they were at the same time they were sending everybody. They were rounding up everybody to prison. Let's see if we can get them moving. Entire families.
Absolutely.
That's what they're doing.
Read it.
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes.
Snared in what?
Snared in holes.
Snared in holes. Small apartments like projects. Read.
And they are hid in prison houses.
Where?
In prison houses.
That's where they want us. And they keeping us there.
They're trying to get rid
They got so much of us there.
They're trying to get rid of the ones in the main Fort Greene projects. They're trying to turn into condos. Farragut, those places I've seen that they redline as we don't know how we're going to get rid of Coney Island. Coney Island, all of Coney Island, the Russian, because of the oceanfront property. They put all the poor people out there 30, 40 years ago. Yeah, let's just throw the niggas out by the water and the cold. Now, Russians came in, it's like, ooh, this ocean property. They want it back now. So like something like a Hurricane Sandy, which they manufactured, helped manufacture to get all those projects cleaned out on this side. Some of it. Now I know Hurricane Sandy came to clean up a lot of people.
Yeah.
Some of it was manufactured on the Coney Island side to get people out of those projects. Because that's what they did. And all the Russians did.
Well, you see, that storm was actually a simulation storm that came from the Long Island Express. The Long Island Express was the perfect storm. So they re-simulated that storm, and they sat down in 1997 and came up with the storm Sandy. That was in Miami. They was doing that, and I have actual documents of that. Absolutely, they're using that system, and they had to create this perfect storm that could sweep through those regions, exactly how that Long Island Express storm. Read.
They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey.
So our people are for a prey. Because we're destroyed and we don't know who we are. That's why we come out here on days like this and bring forth the understanding of Christmas and the paganism and what's tied into it. Sacrifices and deaths and mourning. Because around this time, this high death and mourning, it's all sacrifices. So a lot of the times we're being sacrificed inadvertently on a regular basis. And it's nothing for them because they built this kingdom that way through sacrificing us. And Satan has taught that. Read.
They are for a prey and none deliver.
Nobody's delivering us because we don't know the truth. Let me get John 8 and
They got
30.
Jay-Z delivering.
Nah, he's not delivering. Let me get, matter of fact, go back to Isaiah. You was in Isaiah, right? 5 and 3. Yeah, that Magna Carta BS. First of all, that's homage in Roman deities. Magna Carta. So he's letting you know And he always says this, that I'm a Caesar. So he wants to be like a Khazar. He wants to be like our oppressors. That's why he named his label Rockefeller, after the Khazar, after the Caesar. That's who he wants to be. He wants to be like the oppressor.
But he's been infiltrated.
Absolutely.
The Asian.
They awarded him. They awarded him to destroy his own people. And now this scripture right here is gonna show you what your Jay-Z's are and other people that you think are renowned that are selling out. 5 and 13. Read.
Isaiah chapter 5 verse 13. Therefore my people are gone to captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished.
And they're who?
And their honorable men are famished.
Are hungry, thirsty for riches. That's all they want. Read.
And their multitude dried up with thirst.
And their multitude, their fans, dry with thirst, because what they're feeding them is not real. Read.
Therefore,